Welcome to ProjectME the Podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multi-millionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME the Podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. You are listening to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast. And today we have on the founder and CEO of Financially Wise Women and certified financial planner, Brittney Castro. She's been featured on CNN, CNBC, and even the really smart newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, and for most of you gals, you know, Glamour magazine as well. So that's just to name a few. And I'm excited to talk all things money today with you, Brittney. How are you?
I'm great, Tiffany. Thanks for having me.
So I love what you're doing. I found her, by the way, guys, on Instagram, which is not conventional in the first place to find a financial planner on the gram. And that really intrigued me to begin with, that you took basically a very unsexy profession, right? And made it into something really fun and intriguing and interesting. So tell me about how you even thought about doing that.
Thanks. Yeah. So basically about 5 years ago, long story short, I started after college at a financial planning firm. I was there for 5 years, learned I liked financial planning, but did not like corporate America, left to an independent company. And that was like 2010. And when I was there for about a few years. I started studying online marketing. And this was like, obviously, when blogs are really popular and YouTube was just really taking off. And I saw all these women doing fashion and beauty blogs and YouTube videos. And I thought, you know what? I want to do that. That looks fun. That hit the creative entrepreneurial side in me. And I thought, how come I can't do that with money? So I basically decided to do it. So I started a YouTube channel, started creating videos about money and trying to debunk the whole thing that money had to be so serious and so corporate and old school. And I mean, being a young woman in finance, I felt alone. Like I actually was like, if I'm going to stay in this industry, I got to find another way because I couldn't fit into the model that I saw existed. So I basically started the blog Financially Wise Women kind of as like a transition. I knew I wanted my own company. So then after a few years of doing that, I launched my company, which it's now. And we do financial planning, help women and couples that we're actually expanding to just financially wise because we do work with a lot of couples. So it's just like the next evolution of the company. But we do fee-only financial planning, and then I do a lot of the speaking and brand partnerships to really educate people about money in a new way. One focused on more of a wealth consciousness, a place of abundance versus a lot of that lack mentality. I mean, there's both sides to money management. You know, you definitely need to learn how to budget and save and invest, but also regardless of how much money you have or don't have, how do you feel abundant and wealthy and happy and satisfied and fulfilled? Because it's just like that life in general, that rat race. And if you don't get out of the rat race, no matter how much you have, it's never going to be enough. And I've worked with people who have all the money they could ever want, and they still live a very scarce life, or, you know, vice versa, who don't have a lot, but they live abundantly and wealthy. So we really come out at the financial planning from both sides, you know, the tactical side, but then also what I say, the art, you know, the art of money. Everyone's uniquely different. Everybody has a different story with money. Everybody has a different personality. And how do you combine those to help our people, whether they're a client or attending one of our events, just live better, you know, using their money?
I freaking love you. This is why I had you on, because one of the missions of ProjectME is to help women gain that wealth and worth that they desire and deserve. But I feel a missing component that you fill in this industry is money sounds so Well, it can sound boring. It sounds complicated when you get contacted maybe by your bank, or you're being, and I'm not like putting any name down, but I'm just giving an example, like a Merrill Lynch or something like that. You get on the phone with some old dude, you typically, okay? And they start spitting off all this jargon. All this stock market jargon, all these 401k. And then that's like one that's even more understandable. Then there's all sorts of different trusts you can do. And it gets very convoluted and confusing for people. So what do you do as a first step, basically, when someone is coming to you that is just like, listen, I don't know. All my money is in like my checking account. Like, I don't even know. What am I supposed to do? What's your approach that's so unique and easy to understand?
Yeah, so we do our approach is a 6-month comprehensive financial planning relationship. And we actually start with financial planning versus starting with insurance or the investing, which a lot of financial professionals do. They'll immediately start with, how much money do you have in your portfolio? So we actually think the planning is the first place to start, because it's a matter of, Tiffany, like, where are you at right now? Where are your goals? Where are you trying to go? Like, really learn and listen to you and hear those stories of, I started a business and I had a setback, or now, I'm making great money and I need to figure out if these accounts are right for me and what else do I need, to do? Do I buy another property? Do I invest somewhere else? So we really listen, like, where are you right now? And what is it that you ultimately want to change? Like, and it's, I always say, yeah, it's money, but it's never just money. It's your life. It's your goals. It's all those experiences that you want to have. And a lot of times that first conversation, we offer, free 30-minute phone consultations. The first conversation, if the client is open to it, can be very emotional. People cry a lot with me, and it's normal. And I know it on the flip side. When I go through my own financial journey, even though I'm a financial planner, I still am a human being. I'm still a woman. I have emotions. So I know the emotional side of it. And I think just our approach is offering that safe space to allow clients to feel that nurturing and support and no judgment. Like, I actually recently felt so judged, and I haven't felt that in a long time with my financial life. And it reminded me of that, like what you said, like the Merrill Lynch guy, and here's how you got to do it. Like, this guy was telling me basically to get a job at Morgan Stanley as a financial planner. And I immediately got so triggered. And I said, first of all, I didn't even say I wanted a job. And that just felt like so degrading. Like, here I have a business. Yeah, it's business. It's challenging. There's always, stuff you got to work on. But, it hit an insecurity in me. And it just like really shook me. And like I said, I haven't felt that in a long time, but I think it's because in my own business and financial journey, I'm making changes. It's like in that, when you're like in the growth mode, so you're a little bit like unsure already. So anyway, I think what we offer our clients is just that safe space to really open up. And then through our process of working and collecting the information and building the budget and the strategy and really focusing on educating and also bringing that joy and lightness back to it. A lot of times what I'll always tell my clients is, look, Tiffany, you're doing amazing. Like, feel good about that, because there's always something. Like, it's our ego. It's natural. We always want the next thing, but it's also about bringing that you're doing great. Look at all of this that you've achieved so far. Yes, we'll continue to do more, but I also want, clients to feel that, because I think when you feel that excitement and accomplish and you're proud of yourself, then it's motivating to do the next thing and not be so stressed out and constantly in that like worry and anxious feeling that a lot of people feel with money. So our comprehensive service really, like I said, it's step by step. We go through all these steps in the process to build a solid budget, a plan, and then hold clients accountable, which we all need that.
Oh, My Lord. I know I do. I like the therapy part that you mentioned. That's my favorite. I'm one of those people, guys, and I'm getting a lot better, that I had this crazy, insane number in my head that I would only feel safe if I had $10 million in the bank. So I almost damn near killed myself getting that level of cash. And then guess what? Then I changed my number. So it's like pure insanity. So I'm dying to know, what is like the number one most common question that you get asked about money?
Oh God. I have to say, like, what's the best investment? Everybody wants to know that. What's the best investment? Where should I invest my money right now? And the answer is always like, well, it depends. Like, what are you investing for? Are you talking about your 401k money? Are you talking about extra cash that you just have lying around that you want to earmark for long-term growth? And so that's another part of it. Like, telling clients there's a lot of ways to make money. If you're more inclined to real estate, then maybe it's buying a second property or a third or something. If real estate's really not your passion and you don't want to add all that complexity to your life, then maybe the stock market and investing more passively through a diversified portfolio. So it's always like, the hot question. I think it's the sexy part about money. Where should I invest my money? Bitcoin, is Bitcoin great? Or what, like what this and that. And it's, I think it's fun, but you also have to realize a lot of money, unfortunately, is like, it's kind of like simple and boring. Like, invest for the long haul, have cash, have insurance, protect yourself, leverage tax strategies. I mean, yeah, I know I'm not saying that people don't make money in those opportunities. There's obviously always the stories of that, but for majority of people, just having like a plan and all these different categories and pretty vanilla will be just fine.
Yes. And, what I also teach is what's imperative is working with somebody. And this goes for whether it's finance, whether it's your taxes, whether it's your web designer, but especially finances, where you feel comfortable asking any question. You don't feel dumb, where you feel comfortable sharing, listen, like, private matters, like, listen, my marriage isn't going well. We may be headed for a divorce. Those conversations can save you a fortune and can save you, lots of lost sleep. So what I want to ask you next has to do with, people who are starting all these, online businesses, or they're starting their Etsy business, or they already have it, or they're turning their side hustle into a full-time hustle. I imagine you get a lot of those women because of your strong Instagram platform. So what do you have to say for people who are, doing a side hustle or wanting to start a digital predominant business in terms of planning for it financially?
Yeah, I would say one of the first things we do, well, a lot of our clients are business owners or self-employed individuals. And through the financial planning, what we do is we do a lot of reverse engineering to figure out how much money do they really need to make every month. Especially for these side businesses or side hustles, you might be making, I don't know, let's just throw an example, like $1,000 a month, and you want to figure out how do you actually convert that to your full-time gig. Well, what we would do through the financial planning is determine, well, what are your expenses? How much do you need to be putting away for your goals every month? What about taxes? And then come up with a total, 10 grand, make 10 grand, then you'll be set. You can pay your bills, save, And so it's very clear. And so now the goal is 10 grand. So then you could actually start strategizing through your business. How many products are you going to sell? What kind of services are you going to offer? It sounds so basic, but I'm telling you, a lot of people don't have that clarity. And also something that I've been doing this for 13 years. I've worked with thousands of people, and I don't want to there's no guarantees, of course, but majority of our clients make more money. The moment they do financial planning, more money just comes. It's kind of the law of attraction. I think when you set, things in place, you get clear on what you need, then the money can actually come, or you see the opportunity to make it happen. So I think, especially with a lot of women entrepreneurs, not shying away from the numbers and really just getting clear. And even if it's not like 0 to 10 in 6 months or the next day, that's a goal you work toward. Maybe your realistic number right now is 5,000. So you build to that. And then once you're there, then okay, how do you get to that next level? But clarity is underestimated.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I know what is frustrating and terrifying for a lot of new entrepreneurs or people who are wanting to start a business or a side hustle is they don't have the money. And I'm not going to use fancy financial terms on this call because that annoys the shit out of me and people do that. So they don't have the money to start up that business. Like either they're in debt or they're paycheck to paycheck, but they don't want to be in that corporate world just like you didn't. And they want to get out. They have the passion. They have the talent, but they are going to have to spend more money than they make, at least in the first 6 months, maybe a year. So what do you have to tell these people about that?
Look, everyone's risk tolerance is different. I'll tell you, I used my retirement funds. I took out a personal loan to start the business. That was my risk appetite. Looking back, could I have done things differently? Oh, hell yeah. Like we could always do things differently. But that was the choice I made. And that was what I wanted to do because I didn't want to wait any longer. And I think obviously, like anyone can tell you, you burn through cash more than you thought. Like I had the cushion, I had the retirement, and then I still needed to take the loans, the personal debt. And that's what I did. Was it the right thing? Who knows? Like I said, money is never black and white, but hell, I've learned a lot in personal experiences. And now I can relate to a lot of people. I never had debt before that, and now I can understand there's a whole side to debt that I couldn't connect with emotionally when I would talk with people. And now I can. A lot of things, So I think you have to understand your risk tolerance. I've also known people who would never do that. So they just build and they wait. They stay in their corporate job longer, until they have the cushion ready to take that leap or until their side hustle is making enough money. So I think everybody's going to be a little bit different. Some people dive in, some people are more conservative and they really wait and they're okay with that. I've just never been good at patience.
Me neither.
I don't know. I mean, this is maybe as I get older, I'm really trying to change my ways. And especially now that the business is established and it's successful, it's making money, I see like, okay, part of my own journey as a business owner is to be very intentional with every dollar. I've you learn what works, what doesn't work, you get smarter, hire the right people, hold off, hire slowly, fire fast kind of thing, like everything. But, yeah, I think with just in business in general, just knowing yourself will help a lot.
How long did it take you in order to start making money, making revenue? That doesn't mean that you are, so to speak, in the green because you've invested money, but how long did it take before you started at least breaking even in your business?
Yeah, it's interesting because I made money right away. Like revenue wasn't the hard part for me. I think I probably, it's getting, now I'm finally at a point where I can pay myself the income I want, right? So I think I probably took out too much income in the first few years but I'm a single woman. I didn't have anyone else to pay for my life. So that was something I needed to do, which is where the debt came in. And, but now I would say, so probably 5 years. So even though the business was making money and like breaking even, it still wasn't giving me like the healthy substantial income I wanted and why I work so hard as a business. So, and that's kind of the hard part. I think everyone I've talked to who is in business kind of tells you the same thing. But for whatever reason, I thought, no, I'm going to be different. I'm going to make it in day one, like multiple six figures, and for me, it didn't work that way.
I always like to caution people when they hear people talking about that, online. And I haven't seen their book, so I can't confirm or deny what they're saying to be true or not. But you have to remember, guys, there's a big difference between like your overall revenue and like your net revenue, meaning after all your investment, all your expenses, all the courses you pay for, all the advertising, your laptop, your headphones, I could go, all the people you pay. There's a big difference. And that's what Brittney's talking about. That's when she said the 5-year mark, because you're putting in a lot of money. So when people are like, I'm making, I have a multiple 6-figure business. Well, yes, you do. But what the hell does that mean if you can't pay yourself? Right?
Exactly. And I think, look, I've known personal finance, but business finance is a whole different thing. So I've really learned a ton. And that is one thing that I think I even got caught up with was like, oh, all these people making so much money online. And then I realized, no, that doesn't mean anything. Their net revenue, the amount they're paying, most successful business owners I know told me, like, you don't really make money the first 5 years. And, these are like sustaining business owners, been around the block 30 plus years. So I'm not saying that you can't make a lot of money it's just if that's your goal, maybe you are having a goal, like start up and sell and, get out or something. So that's a whole different strategy. But yeah, I think you're spot on. Be careful what you're listening to. Oh, I'm making $1 million. Like, great. Well, that's gross revenue. I mean, okay, what does that mean in income, your stress level, because even that's another part. For me, it's like, maybe I don't need that type of business because the amount of work and stress to maintain it. So it's like I said, getting back to what do you need to live the life you want, and then reverse engineering it and making money your tool to create that.
You make a great point because, girl, that was my life before, because I had that $10 million number and I was taught from a young age, like you said, money's like complex. There's a lot of emotion. And my mom's an entrepreneur and she always said, you have to give an arm and a leg to be successful and wealthy. Well, I damn near did. Wow. Well, because we're taught things about money, right? And so, but like you said, it's my stress level and my peace of mind. How much is that worth to you? For me, I could quantify that. That's worth a certain number to me.
And I think it's something you review every year. I don't think you ever stop, because your life changes, goals change. I mean, even I had this recent in my own life, okay, because things are growing and changing. And like, it's like, oh, okay, let's look. Half the year's done. What worked? What didn't work? Where do I ultimately feel my best? When I have lots of freedom, I'm not like stressed about like all these commitments and payroll and all of it. So, there's that constant awareness because life, there's lots of shiny objects out there and you immediately just think like, oh, okay. And being an entrepreneur and a business owner, I think you just have to always remind yourself, okay, what do you want? What's your vision? And stay true to that.
What do you have to say about, the expression, money makes money? Like, and I'll just use myself as an example because I think I'm actually a good one. Okay. So the parent company that owns ProjectME, I've had that company for 10 years. It's called TLC Enterprises for anyone who cares. That company is investing the capital, the cash for me to launch ProjectME. So I am coming from a situation where I have money to launch my second and dream business. Do you feel when you work with people who are in a situation, whether they have an investor, they have a family member that's willing to put in money, or they just have a great savings account, do you feel that when there's a financial backing versus starting from scratch, that those businesses can then grow at a faster rate?
That's a great question. I mean, I think so, for sure, because you're not worried about day-to-day cash flow issues. But also on the flip side, you could just be not as connected to each dollar and spend more than you need, which we've all heard those horror stories, startups, they get all this money and then they just blow through the cash. And until like the second round or the third round, then they get more and more, wise with the money. Because there's also a point to, I think when it's something connected to your own, you act differently. But it is also good to use other people's money to leverage and start. Like, that's smart. So I think there's both sides to it.
So you would say that the more money you have, the more you can make if we're taking out the, so to speak, like emotional component of it.
Yeah, emotional for sure. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because if you have that money, even if it's your own, you might not be as cautious about how you spend it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
That's an interesting point. I do want to ask you, before we wrap up here, I noticed that you are the Chase Bank Financial Education Ambassador, and that's damn impressive. That is a huge partnership. I want to commend you for that. And I know my listeners, as are a lot of people, right? They want collaborations. They would love to be a brand ambassador. How did this come about for you? Did you go after them? Did they find you?
Thanks, Tiffany. I appreciate the first and foremost. Yeah, so 3 years ago, it was like 2 years into my business. When I started Financially Wise Women, obviously it's financial planning, but I also wanted to create a whole financial education side of it. So become a paid speaker, because I'd always been doing speaking and workshops and that sort of thing. And then also become a brand influencer, because I saw look, all these women are getting endorsed by beauty products or fashion. I want to do that. So a little bit of how my whole life is: you set the intention, put it out there, journal, it's on my mind. And then, of course, when the time's right, it comes. So the opportunities actually just came to me. There's a few that came, and they were very similar, but they didn't feel right. You just know it's not right. Obviously, money, same kind of financial contract, like a year contract. You're an influencer. Here's the things that you're committing to doing on behalf of our company, and that kind of partnership. And, so I said no. And then another one came. I said no. But I thought, oh, this is interesting. At least they're coming. And then the third one came, which was Chase. And then it just felt right. First and foremost, I really like Chase as a bank. I think they're supportive of business owners. And then this one is more specifically toward, educating people about financial education, credit score, and credit health. And they had initially, and it still is, but initially in the first few years, this is the third year, it was more Hispanic focused. And so I'm half Hispanic. And so I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I think just being a woman, it was nice. So yeah, I love it. I love Chase. I love the team. We have a lot of fun. Like I said, it's been the third year. So now something I'm actually working on is getting another one like that, because you kind of learn the model, learn what works. And it's a lot of where I get excited about is the education part and partnering with big companies. It's fun. It's that creative, and then using my skills and my knowledge to target more of the masses.
Well, it's your way of giving back, being of service.
Mm-hmm. And getting paid.
Well, yeah, being of service and getting paid extremely well for it. That makes me happy. I love that. So just a last question to wrap this up. And I have to ask because I'm curious, because I see a little of myself in you. Given that, I started out in the news business, and then I got into heavily and made a lot of money, and still do, in the pharmaceutical industry, which is heavily white male dominated, over 50, most of the men are 50 plus that are in executive leadership. And that's very similar to the financial industry. So how do you come across, and handle that obstacle when people are like, oh, you're so young. Like I'm, normally used to working with someone who's a lot older, or, and you're a very attractive female. And so there's this stigma of you must not know as much because you're younger. You don't have, gray hair and you're 60 years old.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't get that question anymore, but initially I was 22 when I started in the industry. So I really tried to act older and be serious, and it just didn't work for me. So I don't get that question because I think, one, I'm more comfortable in my skin and I'm just confident. I know what we deliver and I don't really care. And if they have a huge judgment over my age or how I look, then I think it's not a good fit. But another part of it is, if that did come up, I would say, well, great, I appreciate it, but it is nice that I'm younger. We obviously leverage a lot of technology in the company, like we'll be around longer than you, so it's kind of one of those things. I think it's not as abnormal. It actually works a lot in our favor, because when people search for financial planning and they come across our site, and the right ones, it's like refreshing. Oh, you're a woman, you're doing it differently, you're virtual, you understand I'm not just a standard like pension and W-2 kind of deal. And so now we have a whole marketing machine, which I think attracts the right people, where we don't really come across that. But I will tell you, another strategy I did do when I first started this company is I put my head down and I really didn't pay attention to what other people are doing in my industry. Some will say that's actually not good. I think for me, it's actually been very beneficial, because the moment I look up and see, oh, what are they doing? Then I feel insecure. Then I'm like comparing and doing all this thing. And I don't remember how unique I am and the people, that we help. And so I really only attend conferences if I'm getting paid to speak. You know what I mean? I'm very filtered in general with my life, because I think there's a lot of noise out there and it's so easy to get caught up all in it unless you have a lot of buffers around you. So for me, that's been very helpful.
Yeah, that's a great tip, because what happens is what we look for, we end up finding, whether it's positive, negative. So if you're starting a business, whether it's, a jewelry making business or something, and you start going online or you're in social media, well, you end up following other people doing it, and you end up seeing all these people doing it. And now your brain goes, oh my God, all these other people are doing it. Like, how am I going to do it? The market's already filled with it. So that's a wonderful tip. It's like, you know what? You can lift your head up and look around after you've launched the damn thing. And then, be a little curious about maybe some techniques other people are using or strategies, and then put your head back down.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Brittney. You offered so much wisdom. I'm going to have everything, you guys, in order for you to follow her on social, hit her up, rate on her website to do the free discovery calls like she explained. And she also has a course to a really cool money course. So that'll all be in the show notes. So you'll be able to reach her. And I hope you guys found this episode to be incredibly enlightening and easy to understand. And please, please, please leave a review so that Brittney and I can know what was helpful for you guys and if you want to learn anything else. Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.